Hi, this is Dr. Parikh, and this is Module 5. Congratulations, you're past the halfway point, and hopefully you've completed your first paper for this course. Usually people who complete the first paper go on to complete the second paper and finish the course. So this is a big milestone and something to be excited about. It's been a big push in, really the first 4 weeks are very intense. But now you get a little bit of a chance to catch your breath. You are starting to move toward thinking about your next paper. So there's academic writing tutorials. We're also getting into some more detailed things like how to make your title work or writing style. So how to write concisely, how to pay attention to verb tense. So this week you slow down a little and go back over some basics and also go into some more details that have just, been lost in everything else. It's also a good reminder that this could be a good time to do the Khan Academy grammar course. And if you complete the whole course, you get 20 bonus points. By whole course, I mean you do the entire course, at least 95% completion. And I have in the description for the assignment, you can see I have not done the entire course yet. I've done a good chunk of it, enough to know that I like it. But you'll want to have the entire, so I'm at 42%, you need to be at least 95% completion. And that's because sometimes it's really hard to close that last little bit, but the intention really is that you do, more or less the entire course. This is the only video right now. One thing I want to point out is that this semester I am very lucky in terms of timing. I get an extra week. And so the first 4 weeks I've kept pretty much the same, but this is for spring 2022. And if there's a mistake, I'll have to shift everything to cram it all into 7 weeks. But it seems like I get 8 weeks this time. So I get to actually give you President's Day break off. So if you think of where the check-ins come, it's kind of like I just add an extra little bit, and week 2 starts on Friday, and we just add an extra day or so at the end as well. So the modules get a little wonky this semester, at least for the online course. The in-person class, yours is always getting adjusted around breaks and whatnot, because I try hard not to have to allow breaks to be true breaks. But usually for the online class, I don't get to do that because it's such a rigid structure. So we'll see what happens in the future. Small changes, I probably won't necessarily update this video, but big changes, I might be more likely to. So always check your semester's to-do list. There's some discussion responses that ideally you would do fairly quickly so that people can actually use them as they're writing their paper, but the timing is just tough in this course, so I will still be accepting those until the days I've indicated. Still have a check-in post. That's the only discussion board post for this semester, or for this module. And then for the online class, I kind of load up on quizzes here. The in-person class, I think I've spread the quizzes out a little more, and I've tried to make your to-do list match as things come a little more. Not quite as to the day as the in-person or as the online class is, partly because the online class doesn't change as much, whereas the in-person class changes semester to semester quite a bit, and I'm much more likely to say, oh, I was a little late getting something back to you, let's move everything else a little bit. I don't have as much flexibility with that for the online class. The last day of this module, which again, spring 2022, is Wednesday instead of Sunday. You're going to confirm your research proposal hypothesis. And I say developed with instructor, but I'm actually going to my plan is to use this abstract summary conclusion outline to create a hypothesis for you. And I've got a main list. It's here under APA templates. Right now I've got a bunch of asterisks to try to make it stand out. I might try different things. So right now it's a doc. I might try a spreadsheet in the future. But my plan is to bookmark each of the class sections. So you can just click on your section and go down to that and then have alphabetically everybody's name and then their hypothesis and their variables. You can also just do Command or Control F and do find in document, or if you do edit maybe, you can do find and replace, and you can just find. But I like just doing Command or Control F, so you could search for your name. So I'm going to assign you a hypothesis. Most students are fine with what I assign. Sometimes students do want to tweak it a little bit. If you do want to make changes, either schedule office hours with me or email me what you would like to change it to. Don't edit it directly in the master list. Let me, and I will probably actually keep it so that only I can edit, because I want to make sure that I see any changes being made and that I think it's still going to work. I'm not usually fussy about what specifically you choose to, it's not the topic that I'm worried about. It's making sure that you're going to have a scale available, because I don't want students to, or that you are okay with going out, and I'm okay with you going out and finding a different scale and getting all the information you need about that scale. Nobody just makes up a scale for this class. You can either use one of the scales I give, or you can use one that's in one of your articles. But I'm going to start with just here's the easiest path, which is using something I give you. If you have a meeting with me to go through your literature review paper, I don't suggest assuming you'll have time to just add on, like, oh, I want to talk to her about my hypothesis. We're already meeting. I'll just talk about it then. No, those meetings are usually crammed. So unless you told me you wanted to do that and I added on extra time, there's probably not going to be time to talk about your hypothesis during your literature review meeting. Okay. The last thing you'll do, and if I don't get, so my goal is to have everybody's papers back to them within a week. That's a lot for me for the detail that I go through these in. It takes me typically about half an hour to grade each one, and that's with a lot of systems in place to keep me moving. So that's a lot for me to fit in on top of everything else that's happening for the week. But my goal is to get it back to you by Tuesday-ish, so that by the end of Wednesday, but I will also make sure that you have at least 24 hours to review your feedback if it's a video, or to just reflect on it if it was a meeting, before I expect your reflection. So let's say we make the meeting for Thursday instead of Wednesday. So let's say we're meeting on Thursday the 24th, then you would just get an extra day. Or an extra couple days. It wouldn't be due until Friday the 25th, end of day. So I'll make sure, sometimes students get stressed out that I'm supposed to be doing my feedback reflection and I don't have my paper feedback yet. I will make that right, because that is me. That is something that is out of your control. And I will do I will make sure that you have at least 24 hours to do that in. And let's say you had planned a trip, or there's some emergency in your life where 24 hours is not enough notice. You can tell me about that and we'll work something out. But these paper feedback reflections, it's very brief. Both of these are very brief, simple assignments that you can probably just copy and paste. For this research proposal hypothesis one, if you're happy with what I've assigned you, just copy and paste exactly from the hypothesis list. And then I'm going to kind of confirm that they match. And then the paper reflection, it's really just it's a time for you to think, because I think reflection encourages growth. So genuinely think about what was helpful there. You don't have to suck up to me and say it was the most amazing thing you've ever experienced in your life. But students, when students do generally tell me that it's a really good experience, that helps me know to keep that as part of the class, even though it takes a lot out of me to make it all happen. Students also, I will say, often say that they were really nervous about it, but it was a lot less scary than they thought. Many students say they did better on the paper than they thought. Some students did worse on the paper than they thought. But in general, students do give the feedback that I help it be an okay experience doing something that's really hard, which is getting very direct and detailed feedback about your writing skill. If you find that to be not the case, you can tell me that too. And particularly if you can tell me which parts were not helpful, because that helps me be a better feedback giver in the future. So this week is fairly slow for you. It is stretched to the limit for me as I try desperately to give feedback to everyone who needs it as quickly as possible. If you have a meeting scheduled with me and you miss that meeting, what's probably going to happen is I'm just going to record your feedback I will start recording at the start time for the meeting. And that way, if you're like 5 minutes late, we can just kind of keep going from there. If you don't come, you'll get the recording instead, because mistakes happen, but rescheduling is very difficult. I think that's it for this module. Next module, we do kind of hit the ground running, so definitely be using this time to preview and get started. Especially once your hypothesis is set, you can start doing a lot of the Module 6 work. But it can also be a time to recharge a little bit, or to maybe catch up on classes that you've been neglecting a little bit. Take care. Bye-bye.